Welcome, everyone. Today, what I want to do is talk about the purpose of communicating. So we communicate. I'm communicating right now. Why? Why do we communicate? So that's what we're going to explore here today. So first, I'm going to offer a posit. I'm going to say that the purpose of communicating is to inform, influence, and affect the attitudes, feelings, and behavior of others and ourselves for a desired outcome. Okay, so there's my thesis. But now let's support this a little bit. Let's dig into what I mean here and see if it holds up. First, I'd like to offer this quote from Stanley Fish, writer. He wrote How to Write a Sentence and How to Read One. He talks about sentences, but what he says can be applied to any form of communication. People write or speak sentences in order to produce an effect, and the success of a sentence is measured by the degree to which the desired effect has been achieved. So even Stanley is saying, listen, we communicate to have an effect, and the degree to which that effect has been achieved is the measure of the success of our communication. So as we continue on, let me offer some ideas. First of all, there's always a purpose, all right? If you're communicating in any way, shape, or form, there is a purpose behind your communication. The question is not, is there a purpose? The question is, do we really understand what that purpose is? And furthermore, even when we think we're not communicating, say like we're being quiet in a classroom or something like that, trust me, you're communicating. So let's dig at this a little bit. First of all, I posit that there are overt purposes to our communication. So like when you're writing a resume, your overt persuasive goal, your purpose in writing this resume is to get the job interview. Or when preparing a report, your overt persuasive goal, your purpose is to provide actionable data that will inform the decision makers. And when lecturing, my purpose right now is to help students develop valuable skills that they can then translate into good, solid, secure jobs in the future. And when writing a school paper, if you're a student, your purpose in writing the paper is to demonstrate understanding sufficient enough to get the points, right? You wouldn't write the paper otherwise. Your purpose is to get the points. Okay, now those are overt purposes. However, we always have covert purposes as well. Covert meaning, all right, it's a purpose that we hold inside, but we don't really show the world. These are cards that we hold close to the chest. So for example, maybe we want to endear, flatter, or schmooze with somebody, right? We have an overt purpose. We want to get their, hey, can I get your autograph on this piece of paper, right? That's an overt purpose when you're meeting a movie star. But your covert purpose is to flatter the person and schmooze with them so that you can endear yourself to them such that they'll give you that signature, right? Sometimes we want to come across as smart and informed. So as a lecturer, I'm always trying to hold in the back of my head the idea that I want to come across as somebody credible, somebody that you can trust, who's informed and expert in the field. Now, I'm not going to overtly state that, but it's a covert purpose that I have. Sometimes as a student, we want to come across as engaged and attentive. Sometimes though, say like in the workplace, we want to intimidate, like leadership sometimes will intimidate. We'll talk about this in a future lecture. Or sometimes we want to demonstrate submission by just saying, yes, I'll do whatever you say, just give me that A or give me that point or give me that opportunity at work and so forth. I submit to you, dear manager, dear lecturer, dear police officer, don't give me the ticket, right? That's a covert purpose of demonstrating submission. Sometimes we want to demonstrate defiance. We don't want to submit. We're going to demonstrate defiance. All right. Now, in addition to our overt purposes and our covert purposes, sometimes we're not even aware of the purpose that is driving our communication. It's way back there in the operating system. So sometimes if we're meeting with somebody, we might be demonstrating admiration. Or if you're sitting in a classroom, you may be demonstrating boredom or detachment. It's not your intent to do that. You're not even aware that you are demonstrating boredom and detachment. Okay? This is what I mean by an unaware purpose, a purpose of which we are unaware. Resentment or disdain, we see this in people's face, or fascination with a topic. You may not realize that you're demonstrating fascination with a topic, but it's there. Incredulity, I don't believe what you're saying. Eagerness, things like this. Okay? So with all this in mind, let's consider a lecturer, such as moi, lecturing with students. And to do this, I'm going to get out of the way. Let's get out of the way. And come on over here. So first of all, we have the lecturer. The lecturer is trying to influence the students, but at the same time trying to be influenced by the students. So how is this happening? Well, first of all, the lecturer is trying to influence and affect the attitudes and behavior of the students by explaining principles and demonstrating uses of these principles. At the same time, the lecturer is seeking to be influenced by the students. You know, the lecturer wants to know, how are the students responding? Is the material engaging? Do I need to switch up how I'm delivering it? Should I maybe change the examples I give? Because as a lecturer, I am looking for the students to help guide me in my lecture. Now, on the student side, we have the same thing. The students want to influence the lecturer. Trust me, as students, you want to influence the lecturer. So how are you doing this? Well, you're asking probing questions, applying the principles, doing the assignments. In other words, you're doing whatever you need to do to get those points, to get the grade, and that's a way that you're trying to influence the lecturer. At the same time, though, you are trying to be influenced by the lecturer as a student. Students are basically paying the lecturer to teach them skills and how to apply these skills in the real world. So if we look at the desired outcome of the lecturer, influencing the students, hey, I want you to learn and apply this. I want you to feel entertained and emboldened. I want you to challenge preconceived ideas and explanations. And I want you to view me as credible. These are things that the lecturer is hoping to do in influencing the students. Now, the lecturer is also seeking to be influenced by the students. As a lecturer, I want to feed off the energy in the room. I want to gauge which explanations seem to best demonstrate the principles. And I want to riff off the students. Let's have some fun in there. Now, the desired outcome of the students to influence the lecturer, give us the points, man. That's what we ultimately want. Give us the skills that we need to be successful. Maybe be willing to write a recommendation and be a reference for us as we move out into the real world. You're also seeking to be influenced by the lecturer by, well, help me understand the expectation around the assignment so I can get the points, and help me acquire valuable skills that I can then use in the real world. So these are just a few ways that the idea of influence and being influenced works both directions. Now, communication also plays a very important role in establishing ourselves in a community. Now, that sounds kind of abstract, so I invite you to think about this. Think about where your standing is in your workplace. Okay, you've got managers above you, you have employees below you, you have peers, you have stakeholders, and you have a sense of community or maybe not in the workplace. Think about the principles we're about to discuss in terms of where you work, okay? So, first of all, communication is the core mechanism around relationships. This is how we establish and maintain relationships. Every time you've established a relationship, you initiated that relationship via communication. There's no other way to initiate a relationship. Same goes for maintaining that relationship. You know people that you knew back in high school or, so on and so forth that you haven't seen in years. Well, since you have not maintained that relationship, it's not really there anymore. It's a great memory, but not really there anymore. Communication helps us maintain these relationships. Communication also helps us build trust, loyalty, and admiration. A society absolutely needs trust and loyalty, especially, say, in the workplace. We need to trust that we have each other's back and that we can rely on one another to get the work done. Also, communication ensures the strength of a cohesive community. It's kind of interesting. Workplace culture is a fascinating thing. Workplace culture has its own language, its own values, its own rituals, its own stories, and so forth. This is because ultimately we want our workplace to be a good, strong, thriving, nurturing, cohesive community. Now, I'm not saying it always works. I'm saying that's the goal, and communication helps us do this. Okay, now communication has really formed who we are in the community from the very day we were born. Now, for example, communication has helped us discover ourselves in the context of society, discover and project our self-image. So the way you talk, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself is you exemplifying and projecting your self-image, an image that communication has helped you develop. Okay? So for example, we all like to think we're individuals, and we are. We are snowflakes. We are individuals. We are unique. However, if we're also all dressing the same, we're all listening to the same music, we're all watching the same movies in our various communities, in our various groups. And it's through communication that we really figure out who we are in context of these groups, the slang we use, the way we dress and so forth. I already mentioned that, but you get the idea. Furthermore, communication helps us maintain the relationships with others. We talked about that, and helps us influence others to help us survive. We cannot survive without one another. We can't survive without one another, let alone thrive. We need each other to survive. And that's not even to mention thrive. Therefore, we use communication to help maintain our place in the community, either because we're valuable or we contribute something or we add something to the mix that causes others to say, yeah, we ought to keep this person around. In the old days, the worst thing you could do to somebody was ostracize them. Actually, what am I saying in the old days? It's still an issue today. When we feel like we don't have a place, when we don't have friends, when we don't have a community, when we're ostracized, this really messes with us at a very, very basic psychological level, and it's very, very harmful. So communication can also help us predict the future. Here's the thing. The brain is basically what's the term? I forget the term, Lon. That's what happens when you just kind of, freestyle these videos. It's a difference machine. Put in the comments what it is I'm trying to say. You know what it is, a difference machine or something like that. It's basically trying to predict what's happening because our survival depends on our ability to really recognize what's happening in the environment and prepare ourselves for it. and prepare ourselves for it. So understand the world around us so we can predict and affect what's happening and what's going to happen next, and anticipate how we'll be supported or treated by those around us so we can survive and thrive. So basically, we're always asking ourselves, what's going on? What's going to happen next? And how am I being treated in this situation? And communication allows us to constantly scan the environment. Even if we're not saying anything, we're observing. And when we're observing body language, we're observing dress, we're observing behavior. These are all forms of communication. We are scanning the environment to make sure that we always have a bead on what's going on, what's going to happen next, and how am I being treated in this situation. Now, how am I being treated is very, very important. It's important for us to feel that we have a sense of purpose and belonging in our community. And communication is absolutely core to this. The way people communicate with us lets us know if our sense of self is being enhanced, diminished, or even threatened in every situation. Think about this. I want you to read that and think about the workplace. Think about the way people communicate with you in the workplace lets you know if your sense of self is being enhanced, diminished, or even threatened. So this is something we are always looking for on the looking out for. There we go, right? Because ultimately, we want to understand what is our status in the community. We are constantly assessing, gauging, and trying to positively affect our standing in the community through communication. So, pretty serious stuff. So, if we go back to my original thesis, the purpose of communication is to inform, influence, and affect the attitudes, feelings, and behaviors of others and ourselves for a desired outcome. And as we see here, that desired outcome can get pretty deep and multifaceted. All right? So there you go. The purpose of communication, some food for thought. Consider it when you're communicating in any venue that you find yourself. And until we talk again, have a fantastic day. Hey, thanks a lot for watching this video. And, well, if you're still here, you're a special kind of awesome. There are other ways that you can support this channel that we would like to invite you to consider. For example, we have accounts at both Patreon and YouTube Community. They offer a variety of benefits. It's the very same benefits at the same price levels. So whichever platform you prefer, whether Patreon or YouTube Community, we invite you to take a look at what's waiting there for you. What else do we have? We also have merch. I know, right? Every YouTube channel, it's like we're federally mandated to offer merch. Well, we offer merch as well. But in addition to hats and coats and things like that, we also offer study materials such as case studies and articles and study guides, or even PowerPoint presentations. These are things that you can use in your own lectures or in your own personal or professional studies. We also have an Amazon affiliate link. It's in the description below. And like any other affiliate link, it doesn't cost you a penny more to order through this link. However, it really helps the channel. Furthermore, we also have a newsletter called the Brainery Bulletin, and we would love to have you subscribe. In this bulletin, I have a variety of, well, behind-the-scenes pictures and updates, things that I'm working on that you can look forward to seeing in your queue here soon. I also offer a variety of live stream workshops to all of my subscribers, so take a look at that. And then finally, if you like Nutshell Brainery, you'll love our podcasts as well. Once again, links in the description, so take a look and we would love to have you as our newest listener. All right, thanks again, and this time, for real, until we talk again, have a fantastic day.